Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome. I am Nurse Tanya. This is my weekly open office hours. Today we're going to talk about detox pathways and why they matter more than your family history. So it's going to be a pretty open conversation. Let me get my chat opened up. So if anybody's in the comments, I'll try to pay attention and circle back to you. All right, once again, why your detox pathways are more important than your family history. I recently put out a blog. So if you're on my email list, check your junk mail. I recently put out a blog on this subject. So because we see it all the time in practice, I'm a functional health practitioner. I'm not unique. We're all seeing these same things, right? Drainage, drainage, drainage. I see a pattern. Women walk through my door. They're not unhealthy women. They're responsible. They're hardworking. They're busy professionals who have spent decades doing what they thought they were supposed to do to stay healthy. And suddenly, something shifts. They start telling me things like, nothing has changed, but my body feels different. My energy is gone. My hormones feel completely out of control. My weight is creeping up, even though I'm eating the same way I always have. And somewhere along the line, they start wondering if something is wrong with them. So let me read their mail, your mail, for just a minute. You wake up already tired. You push through the morning with coffee. And around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, your brain hits a wall. You're reading emails 3 times. You walk into a room and forget why you went in there. You tell yourself you just need to push harder. Then nighttime comes and suddenly your brain wakes up again. You're tired, but you're wired. Finally, you fall asleep, but then you wake up 2 or 3 times, and by the morning, your mind starts running. The next day, you do the same cycle all over again.
If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease.
Right. So if you are stuck in that same cycle, you've got brain fog, you're crashing in the afternoon, your sleep is disturbed, you're either having to get up to go to the bathroom, you got hot flashes, you're tossing and turning, you're waking up feeling like you haven't rested at all. Your fat jeans are starting to get snug. The skinny jeans are out of the question, but you're doing the same things that you've always done. Your diet hasn't really changed, your activity hasn't really changed, but where are these symptoms coming from. Your clothes still technically fit. Maybe that's you, but they don't fit the same. Maybe you're bulging out of them. The jeans are tight around the waistband. Your rings feel tighter by the end of the day. You look puffier in your facial features than you used to. Not overweight, really, just inflamed. It feels like your body suddenly stopped cooperating with you. So, first off, the first place most people notice, or they've been inclined to think that it's got to be my age, it's got to be my hormones. Maybe it's my thyroid. Maybe I need labs. Maybe it really is calories. Maybe I'm eating too much. A lot of people who come in to talk to me are actually fasting too hard. They are hardly eating. They're fasting intermittently or otherwise, and they're still gaining weight. The question I often ask that client when they come into Awaken Wellness is much simpler. How are your detox pathways? Are they actually moving? Of course, this is new to many people's ears. What does a detox pathway what does that mean? One, like the word detox is really overused and misused. So what I'm actually asking is, are you pooping every day? Like, if your body was working optimally, it would look like a meal, a bowel movement, a meal, a bowel movement. So if you eat 3 times a day, you poop 3 times a day. If you eat twice a day, you poop twice a day. You see what I'm saying, right? So these are things that a person can really have a skewed idea of normal. So normal loose stools, that's not normal. If that's your normal, we need to talk. That's not normal. If you don't go every day or you struggle while you're going, we need to talk. That's not normal. Even if it's your normal, even if that's how you've been for 20 years, it's still not normal. And you can improve it. You can change it. So, back to when I use the term detox pathways. The first and the biggest priority is that colon, is your bowel excretion. And then even your breath is a detox pathway. Your skin is a detox pathway connected to the lymphatics. Detox pathways, the skin, the sweat, the lymphatics. That's super important, but that's kind of up here. But that's where things get backed up and problematic when they're not working. So we think of that body like a funnel, and the colon, the what comes out the toilet, is down here. If that's backed up, then up here is like the lymphatic. So the toxins are going to back up, and like a like your toilet when it overflows, or your sink when it's backed up and overflows. That overflow comes out in the body. It looks like weird skin issues. It looks like people who have sweat problems. Either they sweat too little or they sweat too much. The foundation, the fixing these problems starts down here, opening up that colon. So you're excreting better. And then this up here isn't doing this. It's working better. If that makes sense in just a small, short amount of time to teach. So in my notes, I just said detox pathways. What does that mean, right? Really trendy right now. Everybody's doing dry brushing, they're doing tapping, they're doing gua sha. All those things are great, but they're getting you nowhere if that colon is plugged, right? You can tap, you can dry brush all you want, and even your things like lymphedema and that really puffy hard cellulite, like we have to get this colon problem fixed first before we can work on those things. We can work on all the problems, all of these things. We can make ginormous improvements, but we do them very systematically. There's a system, there's a way that the body wants this done. Let me get back to my notes. All right. When the body is eliminating, when those elimination systems slow down, toxins and hormones leave don't leave the body like they were designed to. They're getting recirculating. And that's that constipation, that sluggish bile, all of that keeps getting recirculated through the body. Create what I call a metabolic traffic jam. I'm going to be doing more posting about this. I think I might have released one already with some post cool pictures that Chat GPT and I made about this thought that I have, calling it a metabolic traffic jam. So most people never think about this. Your body was designed to eliminate waste every single day, multiple times a day, not just through your liver, through several systems working together. Liver, yes. Gut, yes, meaning poops, meaning bowel movements. Your lymphatic system, your kidneys, and your skin through sweating and your breath as well. These systems are constantly moving waste in and out, moving waste through the body. But modern life creates a perfect storm for these pathways to slow down. Let's talk about it. One that can really surprise people the most is sweat. Your skin is actually your body's biggest organ of elimination, definitely the most square inches. Now, sweat doesn't just contain water, it also contains metabolic waste and environmental toxins. But our modern culture has taught us to do everything possible to stop sweating, right? It's dirty, it's smelly, it's gross. Buy this toxic deodorant, shut down that sweat, buy this, toxic this or that to put on to make you smell better. All of these things are counterproductive of healing. We have air conditioning buildings, which I'm not against. We're just talking about ways that we shut down sweating. Sedentary work, minimal movement, antidepressants designed to block sweat glands. Now, the concern in functional health circles isn't just the ingredients in those products, it's the location and the mechanism, right? Location and the mechanism. Your armpits sit directly over a dense network of lymphatic vessels. And the lymphatic system is one of the body's major detox pathways. So here's the fascinating part. I think it's fascinating because I'm kind of a science geek. So one, your lymphatic system has no pump. Your circulatory system, your blood, your arteries has your heart. That's pumping that fluid. The lymphatic, there's no pump. So it is dependent. You get that dependent, right? It flows downward. Gravity pulls it downward. So movement is a big deal. and even light movement. That's why dry brushing works. That's why gua sha works, is because you need to know the direction it goes, that it needs to go in the body, but it's very superficial, it's very light, but there's no pump. So if there is a problem, if it is backed up, it can, like, that cellulite is a big deal. It is directly connected to fluid leaking out of the lymphatics and getting fluid back in so it can move and get excreted like it's supposed to. Again, your heart pumps, the blood flows, but lymph only moves when you move your body or when you intentionally move the system. It does move somewhat through breathing, mostly muscle contraction, movement. It likes heat. It likes that warmth. It makes it more fluid. I kind of think of it like your oils, right? That become more room temperature, they're solid, or when they're warm, they flow. Lymphatic loves heat. Circulation loves heat. So when most people sit most of the day, they rarely sweat, they barely move, that lymph flow slows down. Now let's add to this problem changing hormones, naturally changing hormones that they're coming into the picture. Your liver is constantly processing hormones or methylating hormones like estrogen so they can leave the body safely. Processing hormones is step one. They still have to leave the body through the bile and stool. This is where another very common issue can come in: compounding constipation for women. If bowel movements are slow or infrequent, hormones that were packed for elimination and supposedly on their way out, now they're sitting in that system longer than they should. They're getting reuptake. There may be certain bacteria. They produce an enzyme called beta glucuronidase. When the levels of that enzyme are high, it can actually unwrap that estrogen. That's where that reabsorption happens when it gets back into circulation. So, in simple terms, the body can end up reabsorbing that hormone. So, it's not that you're making too much estrogen, it's that it's just not getting out. So, it's getting recycled, it's not getting eliminated. Now imagine several pathways slowing down at the same time: sluggish bile flow, constipation, sluggish lymph, minimal sweating. That, my friends, is the metabolic traffic jam that I talked about in that blog. Think of it like the plumbing in an old house, right? If one pipe slows down, it can goof up like the rest of the house. It can back up in other places. If multiple pipes slow down at the same time, the pressure builds up. And that's where another conversation comes up. That pressure building up. Okay, now we're going to switch terms and we're going to think of that as family history. So many women come to me worried because their mothers or their grandmothers or aunts had breast cancer. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that genetics don't matter. We all understand that's part of the conversation. That is the part of it that you really don't have much control over. They do matter, but they're not the entire story. Science does recognize the role of epigenetics. Epigenetics means lifestyle and environmental influence. and how genes are expressed. So just because the genes are there does not mean that they're a problem. To me, I think of that as like light bulbs where they can be tripped on, they can be tripped off. So we're not just trapped, so to speak. We're not just a slave to that family history. Your daily habits matter. You can do something positive to work your health in your favor. Granted, it's more likely that we're doing things negative that are working against us, but we can change. Each and every one of us can change. We can have a more power positive, we can have a powerful positive influence on our health outcomes. We can take back control. Daily habits matter. Sweating matters. Let yourself sweat. Make sure you sweat every day. Movement matters. Make sure that you're moving every day. Healthy digestion matters so much. And so many people, their definition of normal is so not normal. And I mean, if you follow me, you know I'm not afraid to talk about poop. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating. So, you know what you do in the bathroom, but you don't really know what normal is. Supporting the liver is absolutely necessary. Spring and fall are the times of the year the body naturally wants to clean that liver a little bit more. So if you are whatever your age is, if you're 36 and you've never done intentional liver work, you're like a vehicle, 36 old, 36 years old that has never had a good overhaul or even an oil change. So that usually resonates pretty hard with people, especially with today's our food, the way we eat, our lifestyle, all the things that I've been talking about. It's even more important that we're really doing liver support. Um, really, really daily. I mean, daily. And what does that look like? That looks like knowing the basics. You've got to get bad oil out of your life. Canola, corn, vegetable, margarine, those oils that whenever that changed, whenever those came onto the market and they made eggs dirty, they made butter dirty, they made those things dirty because of their new inventions. Those oils are drastically inflammatory. When you take the top off of one, like the vegetable oil or the corn oil, and it's all that gunky, sticky yuck, around the threads of that jar. That is like what it's like in your body. High blood pressure, fatty liver, sugar and bad oils. That is your daily supporting your liver is staying away from those things. Bad oils stay in your body way longer than sugar. So, I mean, we all know that sugar is from the pit of hell, but those bad oils, they are such a thing. So, what is acceptable? Not olive oil, raw. When you cook with that, it turns into something unhealthy for your body. That heat it changes it and not in a good way. So if you're using olive oil, use it raw, use it in salad dressings, that kind of thing. That it's not oil that you want to cook in. I don't care what Rachel Ray or whoever says. Heating that is not good. If you're gonna saute, you're gonna heat, just use butter. Use butter. Avocado oil, coconut oil. Those are kind of your main ones. Avocado oil is a strong tasting oil. It takes some getting used to. Or yeah, just other things if you're using oil and you're not frying, you're not also like really heating it up, then your olive oil, that's all right. So anyway, I didn't intend to go into a lecture on oils, but those things are your blood pressure. And I'm just gonna take a minute and talk about that. Inflammation. If we could see on the inside of our body, we would treat it so much differently. So because of this bit I just talked about oils, people, they're worried about their cholesterol, they're worried about their blood pressure, they're worried about heart disease. So medications are handcuffing your body. Your body will never ever try to hurt itself. It will only try to protect itself. So if your body is laying down plaque in your vessels, it's it's a scab. Plaque is a scab. So just like if you cut the outside of your hand, your body, your immune system would lay down a scab to stop the bleeding. And then once the bleeding is stopped, scab falls off and you shouldn't have a scar if you didn't pick it, and all that kind of thing. Your vessels in your body are the same way. Your vessels are like hoses. So when you're young, you have, flexible, beautiful, like a garden hose that you just bought. When you age, that hose, your vessels inside, they become like a garden hose that's been sitting out in the weather, right? It's going to crack, it's going to break. And when there's inflammation, like from oils, like from stress, like from whatever, why your body puts down plaque is because your veins are bleeding on the inside, right? Just like on the outside of your hand. You scraped it, you hurt it. Those inflammatory things in the body cause those vessels then to crack and bleed, just like the outside of your body. So plaque is a scab. Plaque is your body's way, the way the good Lord designed it to heal that bleed. Now, if that's going on, the body puts down plaque. If you changed your diet, if you reduce the inflammation, so you didn't keep scratching, like if it's on the outside of you and you had that wound and you kept picking it and scratching it, that's where the problem comes, right? The same on the inside where you can't see it. That plaque, as long as the inflammation goes away, the body will take care of the plaque. Like it won't always be there, just like a scab's not always there. The body's designed to heal it. But now the white coat, the really smart people, they came along and they take medications and they handcuff the body. And they say, "Oh no, we can't be, you'll clog something off. You can't be creating this plaque." Well, then now the body's like, well, what the heck? What am I going to do now? Because I've got these handcuffs on, but the problem is still there. You're still inflamed. Your vessels are still leaking. They're still bleeding. And now the body, it doesn't know how to fix it because we handicapped it with meds, but you didn't fix the problem. You didn't change your diet. You didn't stop eating bad oils. So the body starts doing weird things, start going through back doors because it's still trying to fix the problem that you are creating. Does that make sense? So anyway, that was not in my notes. I just felt like I needed to explain that. Let's keep talking about lymphatic flow. All these things are connected. There's nothing in the body that isn't connected. These are all ways that we support the body doing what it was designed to do. And this is exactly why I built my program called the Great Health Reset, because most people are trying to take care of themselves. They're detoxing, they're guessing at random supplements. They're it's a systematic A, B, C, D, E, F. And they're hearing information on social media or whatever, and they're starting at D instead of A. And then everything just gets jumbled up. Everything gets complicated. And it doesn't work. So they quit. And then they're on to the next trending, health topic. It Things only really work when we do them systematically, right? We start at kindergarten, we move up to first grade, we move up to, and we keep graduating, we keep habit stacking, we keep building those base foundations and then continuing from there. The random, I get it. I'm such a consumer too. I want to know everything. I want to try everything, and with this, that isn't. Sometimes that trend should be detoxing from internet information. It really should be. You've got juice cleanses. You've got keto. You've got paleo. You've got all the things. You can't even find 3 people who agree on what water you should drink, right? So most people have never put it all together. They've never been given an actual roadmap, how the systems work together. Inside my program, The Great Health Reset, that I've taken all of these years of experience from working one-on-one with clients, all the education, all the things, that I've been interested in and learning, and that squirrel, and we're off to this thing, and we're off to that. If put it together systematically because my brain needed it. So I know your brain needs it as well. It flows. We start focusing on the funnel, on the base right here, right? Getting that right. And working on that digestion, working on a simple place to start with a healthier eating style. Then we work on bile, flowing bile, work on lymph. We work on getting some sweat, getting some movement, all of that waste leaving the body before we work on cleansing anything, right? Most people are so backed up, right? But then they want to jump into detox. They want to jump into cleansing. And that's not the right order. We have to do these things in order. When we do, you feel amazing throughout the whole process. You don't get worse reactions. You don't get rebounds where you have to spend the weekend in bed. When we start moving all of these things out, voila, these crazy hormones start to balance themselves without much help. Now, not always. Sometimes they still need a little bit more help. They still need a little bit more investigation. But for the most part, when we get all this backed up inflammatory fluids out of the body, people just feel better. They stop feeling stuck mentally and they feel comfortable in their own bodies again. So, whenever I'm coming to you, the goal isn't fear, the goal is flow. When the body flows the way it was designed to, health flows with it and in abundance. So that means you don't automatically become your grandparents' health history, right? I'm going to help you rewrite your programming. I'm going to help you clear that stinking thinking so you can take control of your health. You can take control of your future. So I'm so glad that you are here with me today. And I hope that we get a chance to connect on a deeper level very soon. If you'd like to connect with me, the easiest way is to go to my website, awakenwellnessllc.com. Just start clicking around. I recently updated, so I've got Nurse Tanya AI chat down in the corner. And I'm still working on it, but I'm feeding that thing all of this information. So it's going to feel like you're talking directly with me. It is a super cool tool. If you go to my tab that's group coaching and go to the health reset, you can get in that chat and take a little 4-minute quiz that's kind of a are you ready to work with Nurse Tanya and where do you fit in kind of quiz. So that's a amazing tool. I know a lot of people are leery of AI and all of that. But I have to tell you, just like everything else in your life, it's a tool. And if you stay in control of the tool, AI is not something you're asking for personal advice. It's not, um, that's not how I use it anyway. I hate writing. My grammar's terrible. My spelling is terrible. And I can't type to save my soul. So I love training my AI tools. I use voice dictate. I even feed in my narrative from my videos. So it's all me. I just don't have to do the writing. So that is how I use AI. I've learned to make photos. I can say, this is the photo I want, this is the scene I want. So I love it. I love that. Now, could it get off in the ugly somewhere? Yeah, what can't? Like, what can't? So that's the same way I feel about GLP-1s, about peptides, about things like that. We have to be smart, and you need to use the tool, not be used by the tool, no matter what it is. So that's my theory on that. Thank you again. Small creator here, so every like, every follow counts. Anytime you're dealing with a small business, the best thing you can do, for a tip in this day and age, is to give me a 5-star Google review or a review on Facebook if you're finding value here. The same goes for your hardware store, your grocery store, or whoever you're following. Today, that is, in my opinion, the best tip you can give. So thank you, and I'll see you right here next week.